Hello, and welcome back to the Classical English Academy. I'm Tom.
And I'm Anna. Hello, everyone. We are so incredibly happy to have you joining us today.
We have a fantastic episode lined up for you. If you've ever felt stuck with your speaking skills, or if you want to sound more natural, today's topic is exactly what you need. We are talking all about a powerful technique called shadowing.
That's right, Tom. Shadowing is one of the absolute fastest ways to improve your pronunciation, your rhythm, and your overall fluency in English. We are going to break down exactly what it is and give you a step-by-step guide on how to practice it.
It's a complete game changer. But real quick, before we dive into the lesson, if you are watching us right now, please take a second to hit that subscribe button and like this video. It really helps our channel grow.
Yes, please do. And don't forget to leave us a comment down below telling us what your biggest challenge is when speaking English. Finally, if you know anyone else studying English, make sure to share this video with them.
All right, Anna, let's get right into it.
Welcome back, everyone. We are diving straight into our first section today. You might have heard the term shadowing mentioned in language learning circles or seen it in textbooks, but what does it actually mean for your daily practice? To get us started, Tom, could you break down the basic concept for our students at the Classical English Academy?
I'd be happy to, Anna. At its simplest level, shadowing is an advanced language learning technique where you listen to a target language, in our case English, and you repeat what you hear as close to real time as possible. Think of yourself as a shadow following a person. Wherever the voice goes, you follow immediately. You aren't waiting for the speaker to finish the sentence. Instead, you're echoing their words almost the exact moment they leave their mouth.
That is a great visual, Tom. I think it's really important to clarify one thing for our listeners because a lot of students confuse this with the old school listen and repeat method. In a traditional classroom, a teacher says a word, pauses, and then the students say it back. Shadowing is completely different because there is no pause. You are speaking while the audio is playing. You're mimicking the speed, the pauses, and even the emotional tone of the speaker without ever hitting the stop button on your device.
Exactly. In listen and repeat, you're mostly using your short-term memory to recall a sentence. But with shadowing, you are training your brain and your mouth to work in perfect sync with native English. It forces you to stop translating in your head and starts making the English sounds feel natural in your own voice. It's almost like singing along to your favorite song. But instead of lyrics and a melody, you are tracking the natural flow of conversation.
Precisely. It's about building that muscle memory. When you shadow, you aren't just learning words, you are learning how those words connect. You notice how I am going to often sounds like I'm gonna in a real conversation. You catch the little breaths and the emphasis on certain syllables. It's the closest you can get to acting like a native speaker.
I think the best way for our Academy students to understand this is to actually hear it in action. Anna, why don't you say a few sentences about why English is such a beautiful language, and I will shadow you. Listen closely, everyone, to how my voice follows hers like an echo.
Great idea. Here we go. English is a bridge that connects people from every corner of the globe. By mastering its rhythm, you unlock doors to new cultures, new friendships, and endless professional opportunities.
English is a bridge that connects people from every corner of the globe. By mastering its rhythm, you unlock doors to new cultures, new friendships, and endless professional opportunities.
Wow, Tom, you stayed right with me. Did you hear that, everyone? Tom didn't wait for me to finish the sentence. He was right there behind me. That is the essence of shadowing. It might feel a bit messy at first, but that's okay.
It definitely takes practice. My tongue even tripped a little on professional opportunities, but that's the point. You keep going. You don't stop to fix it. You just stay with the speaker. It's an incredible workout for your brain.
Now that we understand what shadowing is, let's talk about why we do it. At the Classical English Academy, we always say that speaking a new language is actually a physical sport. It's not just about what you know in your head, it's about what your body can do. When you shadow, you are essentially going to the linguistic gym. You are training the very specific muscles in your mouth, your tongue, and your jaw to move in ways they aren't used to in your native language.
That is such a great point, Anna. English has some very tricky sounds, like the TH sound or the difference between R and L, that can feel physically exhausting if you aren't used to them.
Exactly, Tom. If you just read silently, your muscles stay lazy. But when you shadow, you are forcing those muscles to produce those difficult phonemes at a natural speed. You're building muscle memory. Over time, your mouth stops fighting the English language. Those sounds that used to feel like a tongue twister start to come out smoothly and automatically, without you even having to think about where to place your tongue.
I love the physical explanation, but I want to shift our focus slightly to the hidden side of English, the psychological and musical side. You see, English isn't just a collection of words, it has a very specific melody. We call this prosody. It includes the rhythm, the word stress, and the intonation. When you shadow a native speaker, you aren't just copying their words, you are catching their vibe. You hear where they go high in pitch, where they go low, and where they stretch out a vowel to show emotion.
It really is like music, isn't it? If you get the rhythm wrong, even if your grammar is perfect, people might still struggle to understand you.
Precisely. Shadowing helps you internalize that rhythm subconsciously. You start to feel when a sentence is finished or when a question is being asked just by the musical curve of the voice. Psychologically, this is huge. It moves English from a school subject into a natural, living part of your brain. You stop sounding like a robot reading a list and start sounding like a person sharing an idea. You begin to notice the schwa sound, that lazy little vowel that is everywhere in English, and you start using it naturally because you've heard it and repeated it 1,000 times.
So when we combine these two things, the physical muscle training I mentioned and the musical rhythm Tom talked about, something magical happens for the learner. These two factors merge to create a massive boost in your overall speaking confidence. Think about it. If your mouth knows how to move, the physical, and your brain knows the melody, the musical, the fear of speaking starts to disappear.
It really does. You stop worrying about every single S at the end of a verb because your mouth is already used to the pattern.
Right, and that is how you achieve true fluency. Fluency isn't about knowing every word in the dictionary. It's about the ability to speak smoothly and be understood without constant pausing. By practicing shadowing, you are bridging the gap between knowing English and performing English. You'll find that when you enter a real conversation, the words flow out much faster and much more accurately than they ever did before.
Now that we've sold you on the why, we have to talk about the what. This is where most students at the Classical English Academy make their biggest mistake. They get excited, they go to YouTube, and they find a fast-paced action movie or a complex scientific debate to shadow. If you do that as a beginner or even an intermediate learner, you are going to feel defeated within 30 seconds. You have to select material at the correct difficulty level. If the audio is moving at 100 miles per hour and using vocabulary you've never seen, your brain won't be able to process the sounds, let alone repeat them. You want something that is just a little bit challenging, but still understandable.
That is so true, Tom. It's like lifting weights. You don't start with the heaviest one in the gym. For our listeners, I highly recommend starting with graded readers. These are books written specifically for English learners at different levels. They usually come with very clear, slow audio. Another great resource is a TED Talk, but specifically the ones where the speaker is calm and articulate. Slow news broadcasts, like Learning English news segments, are also perfect because the news anchors speak very distinctly and use standard grammar.
Those are excellent suggestions. I'd also add clear audiobooks to that list, especially young adult fiction, because the narrator is usually trying to be very expressive. But here is a pro tip for everyone. Think about the accent you want to live with. If you are moving to London, you should be shadowing British speakers. If you are working for a company in New York, find an American podcast. You are essentially downloading a person's accent into your own brain, so choose a voice you actually like.
Exactly. You are mimicking them, so make sure it's a style you want to adopt. And Tom, we shouldn't forget the most important tool for a successful shadowing session, the transcript.
I'm glad you brought that up, Anna. Especially when you are starting out, you must have the matching text in front of you. Following the text while you hear the audio creates a bridge in your brain between the spelling of a word and its real-world sound. It keeps you from getting lost. If you try to shadow blind without text too early, you might just end up making blah blah sounds instead of actual English words. Having that transcript is your map. It ensures you are actually practicing the language and not just making noise.
It really provides that safety net. Once you feel like a pro with the text, then you can try to shadow blind. But for our Classical English Academy family, start with the text, pick a voice you love, and keep the speed manageable.
Now that we have our materials ready, it's time to get into the how-to. At the Classical English Academy, we don't want you to just jump in blindly. There's a specific rhythm to practicing this technique that will save you a lot of frustration. Anna, why don't you walk everyone through the very first step of the process?
I'd love to, Ton. Phase 1 is active listening. This is the foundation, and honestly, it's the step most students skip because they're in such a hurry to start talking. I want you to take a short audio clip, maybe only 1 or 2 minutes long, and just listen. Don't speak, don't write, just focus. Listen to it 3 or 4 times. Your only goal here is to become intimately familiar with the speaker's voice. You're listening for where they pause, where they sound excited, and where they link words together. You need to hear the music of the passage before you try to play the instrument yourself.
That's a great way to put it. You have to hear the song before you can sing it. Once you've done that active listening, we move into phase 2, the silent read-along. In this step, you finally bring in your transcript. Play the audio again, but this time, follow along with your eyes on the text. Do not speak yet. This phase is all about brain to eye to ear connection. You are looking at the word comfortable on the page while hearing the speaker say it, which helps you realize that in natural speech, it often sounds like comfortable. This step fixes those spelling versus sound traps that English is so famous for.
It really helps clear up the confusion. And finally, once your ears and eyes are in sync, we reach phase 3, the shadow. This is the main event. You play the audio, you look at your transcript, and you start speaking with the narrator. Don't worry about being perfect. Just try to match their speed and their emotion. Do this several times until you feel comfortable. Then, for the ultimate challenge, try blind shadowing. This is when you put the transcript away, close your eyes, and try to follow the voice using only your ears.
Blind shadowing is where the real magic happens. It's the closest thing to a real-life conversation where you don't have subtitles in front of your face. By the time you reach this stage, you aren't just repeating words, you are inhabiting the language. It feels amazing when you finally sync up with a native speaker for a full minute without stumbling.
It's an incredible feeling of accomplishment. Remember, Classical English Academy students, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Take it phase by phase and don't rush the process.
We've covered a lot of ground today, but before we let you go, we need to address the elephant in the room. Shadowing is hard. One of the most common complaints I hear from students at the Classical English Academy is, "Tom, I feel completely tongue-tied. The speaker is moving like a race car, and I'm stuck in first gear." It is incredibly frustrating when you get lost in the middle of a sentence and feel like you failed.
It really can be discouraging. I've seen students actually get angry with themselves because they missed a few words.
Exactly. And here is my advice. Let it go. If you fall behind, do not try to catch up by speaking faster than the audio. That just ruins your pronunciation. Instead, simply stop, take a breath, and wait for the next clear sentence or phrase to begin. It's okay to drop a few words. Think of it like a skip in a record. Just find the next beat and jump back in. The goal isn't to be a perfect recording. It's to stay in the flow as much as possible.
That is such a vital tip, Tom. Another big mistake I see, especially with our most dedicated students, is trying to shadow for an hour at a time. They think more is better, but with shadowing, that's actually not true. Shadowing requires an intense amount of mental focus and physical effort from your vocal cords. If you do it for too long, you'll experience vocal fatigue, and your brain will just start tuning out the sounds.
I've definitely felt that brain fog after a long study session. What do you recommend instead, Anna?
I always recommend micro sessions. 5 to 10 minutes of high-intensity shadowing is infinitely better than 60 minutes of exhausted mumbling. When you keep it short, you can maintain 100% focus on every vowel and every intonation. Treat it like a sprint, not a marathon. Once your jaw starts to feel tired or your mind starts to wander, that is your signal to stop for the day.
I couldn't agree more. This brings us to our final point. Consistency is king. At the Classical English Academy, we would much rather see you shadow for 5 minutes every single day than for 2 hours once a week. Language is learned through frequency. By doing a little bit every day, you're constantly reminding your mouth and your brain how English is supposed to feel.
It's all about building that daily habit. If you stick to these short, focused bursts, you'll be amazed at how much your confidence grows in just a month. You'll start noticing those native-like patterns showing up in your normal conversations without you even trying.
Well said, Anna. Don't let the frustration stop you. Embrace the messy parts of learning. Keep your sessions short and just keep showing up every day. You've got this.
Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode here at the Classical English Academy. We really hope this deep dive into the shadowing technique gives you the confidence to start your own practice today. Remember, it's not about being perfect from day one. It's about that consistent daily progress.
Exactly, Anna. Even 5 minutes makes a world of difference. If you found these tips helpful, please make sure to hit that like button. It really helps us reach more students around the world. And if you haven't already, click subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our weekly English marathons.
We also want to hear from you. Leave a comment below and tell us, what is the one English word that always trips your tongue up? We'd love to see your answers and maybe even use them for a future episode.
And finally, if you have a friend or a classmate who is struggling with their speaking, please share this video with them. Let's grow this community together.
Thank you so much for spending your time with us. Keep practicing, keep shadowing, and we will see you in the next one.
Happy practicing, everyone. Bye-bye.